There was a time when Africa wasn't ruled by politicians, but by giants. Men and women who reigned with an iron fist, protected their people with their blood, and struck fear into the hearts of invaders. Today, as cowardice takes hold and our leaders buckle under pressure, it's time to remember where we come from. This is the story of 10 African sovereigns who stood up to plunder, betrayal, and colonization, and how each of them ended their struggle.
I am Letitia. I'll take over. Let's go. 1. Sundiata Keita. The lion of the man, he was born unable to walk, mocked, dismissed, called useless. But destiny was waiting. When the tyrant Sumaro Kante enslaved his people, Sundiata made a decision to rise, literally. One day, before the entire royal court, he stood up for the very first time. The bamboo canes he used for support snapped under the sheer strength of his arms. That day, the child who crawled became the man who would lead. With time, he became a brilliant strategist, a unifier, and the founder of one of Africa's greatest empires. How his story ends? Victorious. He defeated Sumoro and created the Mali Empire. His legend lives on in the epic of Sundiata. But if Sundiata represented resilience, another leader would redefine power itself. Next up, meet Shaka Zulu, the general who commanded 200,000 warriors. Shaka took a small, overlooked clan and forged it into an army that made all of southern Africa tremble. He introduced a ruthless new discipline. His soldiers marched barefoot for miles and fought hand to hand. The rule was simple: never retreat, no matter the cost. His signature weapon, a short spear called the Ikwawa, turned every battle into a storm of blood and dust. Neighboring tribes quickly learned that to resist Shaka was to die. But how did his story end? He was assassinated by his own half-brothers, who grew terrified of a power that had become larger than the throne itself. And while Shaka ruled through fear, another man would soon rise through sheer genius. He was called the African Napoleon, but he started with nothing. No army, no throne, just pure ambition. This was Samory Touré, a simple trader who saw the French colonial forces advancing and decided to build a wall of resistance. From nothing, he forged a modern army in the heart of West Africa. His soldiers were so skilled, they could assemble and dismantle rifles, blindfolded in the middle of the desert. He was a master of guerrilla warfare, a ghost on the battlefield. The French generals were baffled. They said catching him was like trying to catch a shadow. He never fought the same battle twice, turning war into an illusion. For over 15 years, he almost single-handedly halted one of the world's most powerful empires. In the end, it wasn't a battle that defeated him, but betrayal, captured, and exiled, his spirit remained unbroken. But while Samory fought with strategy, another king fought with pure fire. History is full of kings, but how many were known as the Shark? Meet Nzinga, the last great king of Dihop. His emblem wasn't just a symbol. It was a warning, a shark devouring everything in its path. He commanded a legendary army, where fearless women warriors, the Agoji, fought alongside men. You might know them as the Amazons of Africa. When French invaders threatened his kingdom, the Hanzan's response was extreme. He burned his own villages to the ground, leaving nothing but scorched earth for the enemy to find. His warriors fought with unmatched ferocity, down to the very last drop of blood. Though he was eventually captured after a heroic resistance and exiled, his spirit was never broken. Nzinga is forever remembered as Dahomey's fiery king. And as this king fell, a new story began. One of a queen who would rise to power. Imagine this. The British Empire, at the peak of its power, demands the most sacred object of your people, The golden stool, the very soul of the Ashanti nation. The men, the chiefs, they all fall silent. Who would dare defy them? One person did. A woman. Ja Asantewa, the Queen Mother. She stood before the silent assembly and her voice rang out. If you, the men of Ashanti, will not go forward, then we will. We, the women, will fight. And she did. She wasn't just talking. Ja Asantewa rallied an army of thousands and led them herself, laying siege to a British fort and sparking a war that shook the empire to its core. Though eventually captured and exiled, her incredible courage never died. Her defiance lit a fire for freedom that would inspire generations to come. She proved that one voice, one brave heart, can challenge even the mightiest powers on earth. Ever heard of a king so rich, his ornaments were said to blind people? Let's talk about Tunka Manen, the Golden King of Ghana. Arab historians were floored by his wealth, describing how he shone with gold. But he wasn't just about the bling. Tunka Manen was a brilliant defender of his empire. He stood firm against the Almoravids, a powerful force sweeping in from the desert. For decades, he protected vital trade routes and consistently pushed back invaders, keeping the Empire of Ghana free and prosperous. He died a free king, a testament to his strength and leadership, although his empire weakened after him. His legacy is a powerful reminder that while gold is impressive, it's strategy and courage that truly make a king. In the late 19th century, Europe was carving up Africa, and Italy had its eyes set on Ethiopia. They thought it would be an easy victory, just another prize in the colonial game. But they didn't count on one man, Emperor Menelik II. He wasn't just a ruler, he was a unifier. He rallied his people from all walks of life, creating a formidable army bound by a common cause. In 1896, at the Battle of Adwa, Menelik's forces faced the modern Italian army. And what happened next shocked the world. The Ethiopians delivered a crushing defeat to the invaders. Imagine the scene. Italian weapons, once symbols of power, now abandoned on the battlefield, picked up by triumphant Ethiopian soldiers. Menelik II became a global icon, a symbol of resistance and African strength. Respected even by the European powers he had humbled, Ethiopia remained proudly independent, a beacon of hope across the continent. Ever heard of the Black Pharaoh who saved Egypt? Let's talk about Taharqa. This Nubian king wasn't even Egyptian, but he rose to become pharaoh at just 20 years old. Talk about an overachiever. He didn't just sit on the throne either. Taharqa was a builder, creating magnificent temples that still inspire awe today. But his real legacy was on the battlefield. When the mighty Assyrian Empire invaded, Taharqa led his army and pushed them back, defending Egypt and restoring African glory along the Nile. The Assyrians came back with an even bigger army, but Taharqa stood his ground, preventing them from reaching the heart of his kingdom. Though eventually forced to retreat to his homeland in Sudan, he's remembered as one of Egypt's greatest warrior pharaohs. But not all resistance came from empires. Sometimes, it came from ghosts. Ever heard of a king who moved his entire empire to escape his enemies? Let me tell you about Samory, a West African leader so elusive. The French called him the unbreakable ghost. Imagine this. An invading army is closing in. So what does he do? Instead of surrendering, he orchestrates a massive migration. He moves his entire kingdom people, resources, everything village by village, step by step, always staying one move ahead of the French colonial forces. French soldiers would arrive at a town only to find it completely empty, as if it had vanished into thin air. They said, "This man fights like a ghost." For years, he waged a brilliant war of resistance, a testament to his strategic genius and sheer willpower. Although he was eventually captured and died in exile, his story wasn't one of defeat. It became a legendary symbol of relentless perseverance and the undying fight for freedom. He fought not just for land, but for his people's dignity. ever heard of the king who stood up to an entire empire to protect his people? Let me tell you about Mabumba Nzinga, better known as Alfonso, the king of Congo. He was educated, a skilled diplomat, and a devout Christian. But when the Portuguese, who he once saw as allies, began kidnapping his subjects for the slave trade, he showed his true strength. In a powerful, historic letter, he demanded they stop. His words echoed with defiance. Stop depopulating my kingdom. Imagine the courage it took to challenge the overwhelming force of European greed and weaponry. He fought against the corruption that was tearing his nation apart, while the immense pressure eventually weakened his kingdom. Afonso's legacy was forged in that moment of defiance. He is forever remembered as the king who dared to say no. Want to hear the full, incredible story? Check it out on my page! And don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden histories just like this one. Thanks for watching!